Okay, so Yannick Gingras, thanks for joining the IHRA Irish American Weekend here in Portmarnock. You're talking to me about a week or 10 days in advance of the meeting. You'll hardly make it over in time, will you?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's for sure. But thanks for having me.
Well, you'll not make it this year with COVID, but this is the start, we hope, of a 4 or 5 year project. And we hope that within 4 or 5 years, this becomes a world-renowned meeting where Ireland and America can celebrate the great contribution the United States has made to harness racing, and in particular our friends in the States, the stallion owners, like of yourself, some other dignitaries from the States are going to be talking to me, and of course, Mr. Bill Donovan. You drove for Bill, yeah?
Yeah, actually, I've driven for quite many years. The first one that that I drove that comes to mind is definitely Maven. No, she got to take me all around the world. Actually, the first time I went to Sweden and went to Paris for the Prix d'Amérique there as well. So Bill was great to me and still is today. I still drive horses for him, and he's a wonderful man. I know he's been great for racing in Ireland, but he's also great for racing here in the US, and we're thankful to have him.
Mm-hmm. Did you get the driver at Vincennes?
Yeah, I got to drive her, actually, Maven. I drove her in the Prix d'Amérique at Vincennes, and it was quite an experience, actually. It's very different than everything we experience here in the US. The Elite Lop, I drove her in the Elite Lop as well, but it's an American like race. It's 1,000-meter track, 1,600-meter race. So it's basically what we do here. So that the difference was the drivers and the competition, but it wasn't really the race itself.
Did Maven finish in the Prix d'Amérique at that time?
She did not do well. She actually was good. It wasn't her fault. It was a little bit of my fault in the trip, and I did not get a good start with the vaulted start. So I got away back, and then I was coming pretty good in the last turn, and she was trotting pretty strong, and then I got pushed, and then she made a break around the last bend. But I think she was going to be fourth or fifth. All things considered, I think it would have been a great result had she not make a break in the last turn. But that's racing, and it was a great learning experience for me, and I would love to have another shot at that race. But it's a hard one for the American drivers. It's definitely a French driver race. It's very different.
Yeah, when Delvin Miller took Delmonica Hanover, I think he used a local driver, Hans Fromming, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and then when Moneymaker went as well, they used Jean-Michel Bazir. So that's who Jimmy used, for her then. And Maven, Jimmy tried to get Frank Nivard to drive her, but he couldn't get one of the top 4 or 5. Frank couldn't commit to her, and then the other 3 or 4 guys behind him couldn't commit as well. And that's when Jimmy asked me, and it was a great honor to be able to compete in the race.
Great to have tried. You can say that all your life you've driven at Vincennes in the biggest harness race in Europe, if not the world. Okay, so taking it back to the pacing gate, there's another connection with Ireland because it's great to see our friends down in Baltimore, Donald Murphy and Tag Murphy. They've got hooked up with the great benefactor Bill Donovan. He's a tremendous owner for them, and you got to drive Rebel Rouser and Reclamation in their stateside careers, did you?
Yeah, I did actually when they came here to the US, and both of them, Reclamation, I drove her sister, Rocklamation, so I knew when she came, she was well bred, and the Berg Brigade, when they were training her the first few weeks, and they told me that mare was for real. Like, she was a really nice horse, and her line, it was her, and it was another mare that her name escapes me now, but Nifty Norman got the other one. They were racing. That's it. They were racing against each other, and they were both very nice horse. And so they both came at the same time. And Rebel Rouser too. Robert Cleary trained him, but he was a really nice horse. What a lovely horse he was to drive too, and I tried really hard. And so I was lucky to when they came here to get to drive both of them, because they both fit in pretty low classes as well. So it was good for them to adapt, and they didn't have to go against the open, caliber horses right off the bat.
Horses like that getting success in the States, it gives us all a glimmer of hope over here. We're hoping to open up the export market. If we can breed 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds are good enough to compete at Yonkers in the Meadowlands, it means they're worth something, because the purses in this country are limited at this stage.
Absolutely. And then, and I know Ron Burke won and bought like 4 or 5 last year, or maybe it was the year before. Now with COVID, everything kind of falls together in years or months. But I know he got some from from Ireland that did really well when they came. So there's definitely there's horses there that are caliber to race around here. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Porterstown Chris, he's still winning over there at 9 or 10 years of age. And there was an Oakwood horse, Oakwood in it to win it, who was bred here in County Offaly. So, yeah, it's great that they're doing so well. But tell me, you mentioned there some of the biggest names in the sport, Ron Burke and the Tactors. You're an in-demand catch driver, almost a gun for hire. That we don't really have catch drivers over here. Over here, most of the trainers drive their own, although there are a few catch drivers starting to emerge. But you have to be a good diplomat to be a catch driver. How do you keep all those guys happy? If you have three in the Meadowlands pace, a choice of three for Tactor, Burke, and somebody else, how is it possible to keep them all happy?
Well, it's a full-time job. There's no doubt about that. But to try to keep them all happy. But I found that honesty usually is key. If let's say for the Meadowland pace, if there's a couple, try to be upfront and be honest about it. Like, don't tell two people the same what they want to hear. Like, I can't tell Tactor and I can tell Burke, yeah, I'll drive you a horse, but then driver change come and you can only drive one of them, right? So like you got to try to be upfront and tell them, straight up, like I can't go with him or I can't go with her. And then the other part is loyalty too. So like you mentioned, if I had one for Tactor, one for Burke, and one for someone else, well, the one for someone else would have to be a pretty good horse for me to jump off those two. So I try to be loyal to Burke and Tactor as best I can, and like I said, to be upfront. But I've dealt with the situation for 7 or 8, 9 years now. When Jimmy was around, I was #1 driver for Jimmy, and I've been, then with Ronnie, I've been his #1 guy for probably 7 or 8, 10 years maybe now. It's been awesome. Ronnie is he's great to work with, very understanding. He's he's helped me a lot for my career, but also, like, I'm not a guy that wants to race 7 days a week and going to the racetrack every single day. I like to have family time. I like to take vacations with my kids, my wife, and so Ronnie has allowed me to do that over the years, and it's something that's been amazing for me. And like I said, the Tactors have been great to me as well. Jimmy. And now with Nancy, she spreads it a little bit more than Jimmy did. That she's using Dexter a lot, and the McCarthy brothers and David Miller, and so I still get my fair share there. There's no doubt about it. But it's more evened out with her than it was with her dad. But it's okay. There's work for everyone.
It suits both parties, especially with the Burke relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. The Burke relationship, it goes back, like I said, it goes back so many years, and it's something that I've told them in the past. It's something that can never be thankful enough. That there is it's a work. A catch driver is I'm loyal to them. They're loyal to me. But it's usually like, if you take vacation, you don't get the horses back. If you're not there, somebody else gets them, and that's theirs. But Ronnie has made a point to let me be like the person that I want to be in outside of the sport, and it's something that I'll always be thankful.
Means a lot. Well, tell me, just tell the crowd at Portmarnock today watching this and on our website, tell us some of your career stats. Don't be shy. Tell us your lifetime earnings. Tell us how many winners you've driven, just to give us a feel for the scope of the American industry.
Well, the one reason why I know I'm getting close to 200 million in earning for as a driver and winnings is my dad called me about a month ago, and he said, obviously he still lives in Canada, but he says, "Hey, congrats, today you went over 200 million." And I'm like, really? I didn't think I was that close to it. I thought I had like 10 million to go or something like that. He's like, yeah. He said, you went through in whatever race today. I'm like, oh, awesome. Thanks. Then I went on the USDA to look it up, but like he was looking at it in Canadian dollars. Right. So so I'm still a little short of 200. I think I'm like 192 or 194 right now or something like that. So hopefully I can get there before the end of this year. So that'd be a pretty good accomplishment. I'm 41, turning 42 in a couple months, but to go over 200 million, it's something that I've never been a guy to go really worry about the amount of wins I have at the end of the year. I've always been the guy that looks at the last column on the right, the money column. That's, to me, that's what's the most important. And if the wins were important, I would race a lot more than I do. I mean, of course, I want to win every race I'm in, but I mean, I'm not looking for huge numbers. And as far as win driver, I think I'm maybe around between 7 or 8,000. I'm honestly not sure which part of that I'm at, but I think it's something like that. But I could be wrong on both sides.
That's your big motivation. I'm sure John Richardson and Billy Roach, our two leading drivers last season, they wouldn't quibble whether it's 200 million American or 200 million Canadian. we race
Yeah.
over here for maybe $1,000 a race. So you know, you're in the big league over there. But anyway, and what's your favorite track to drive on, Yannick?
Well, definitely home is the Meadowlands. Since I moved there in 2004. Every once in a while, I'll catch myself in the post parade, overlooking the New York skyline, night light at night when the lights are out, and you're looking at the grandstand, and you're like, man, like that's the place to be. Meadowlands still has that special feeling that you win a race there. It's the greatest drivers colony everywhere. There's no doubt in my mind the best drivers are at the Meadowlands. Like there's great drivers everywhere, but as far as a full colony of 10 guys that can get the job done, Meadowlands is bar none. So you win races there, it still feels pretty special. It's been home to me. It's treated me well over the last 15 years, 17 years now, and I love it there. I think it's a fair track. It's A racing. The best horses, the best trainer, best driver always go through. If you want to have a horse that wins big races, you got to go through the Meadowlands, and then it will always be special for me.
It's still the Big M. Still the Big M.
That's it. That's a reason why it's called the Big M. No doubt you're right about that.
Well, we like to think our own little driver colony over here, those guys can handle themselves pretty well. And some of the American drivers who came to visit Ireland were impressed at how well those guys can handle a horse. So you might find that little half-mile track at Portmarnock might be tough enough for you if you get to come here. Oh
yeah, for sure. They'd put it to me, no doubt about it. Like it's the same thing when I go home. Like I said, there's great drivers everywhere. When I go home to Quebec, some of my friends are still racing there, and you go there and there are great drivers there as well. The talent pool, I think, for the drivers is amazing these days. If you look at Canada, you have like Doug McNair, Louis Philippe Roy, Sylvain Filion, James McDonald, Jody Jameson, that you guys know well, and Bob McClure. The list goes on and on and on. And then you go to Ohio, and you have like the Chris Page and Ronnie Wren, Harry Merriman. That I guess same thing that you guys know really well. Like it's there's so many good young drivers coming up that I think it makes racing exciting.
They're all world class, Yannick.
Yeah, they really all are, and they could go anywhere, and they could come to the Meadowlands and do well. And like I said, there's just so many. Like I said, the talent pool is unreal right now, I believe.
Well, just in a similar theme, I'll ask you, who do you hate to see coming on your right shoulder? If you're at the 3/4 pole at the Meadowlands or at the Jug, and the colours come looming on your right shoulder, what colours do you not like to see? Tell us about some of your competitors in that drivers' colony.
Well, they're tough, no doubt about it. Like we've had a competition for years between Timmy and I, Tim Tetrick. We've been 1-2 for many years. Dexter overtook us last year, but me and Timmy have been. I think he won it like 6-7 years in a row. The earning title, I won it I think 4 years in a row, and then so we've been going back and forth. So it's a great rivalry between the two of us, and he's a tough driver to race against. In that he's good. He's great. And then Dexter, no doubt. Dexter, what he's done since coming here to the U.S., he's a great talent. Great guy as well. He's got a great personality and nice, just a nice, generally nice person. David Miller, a class act. David is really easy to drive against.
Is that the famous Buckeye?
The Buckeye, that's right. The Buckeye. Yeah. He's a great guy as well and a great driver. The list goes on and on. Obviously, you have the John Campbell back when he was racing. I think one guy that always scared me when he would make moves is Ron Pierce. Amazing talent, would do things out of the ordinary. You'd be like shaking your head, like, what's he doing? But it always worked for him. So very. I would say Ronnie is probably the driver where the less predictable. He was so unpredictable that you would never know in a race what he would do. Like some of the other guys, you can have an idea of which way they're going to drive the horse, and but Ronnie, I think he loved that part of himself, that to make a point of being unpredictable. So it was hard to race against him because of that.
Change it around a bit.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fascinating insight, Yannick. Well, one final question. Do you like going back to Canada for the big stakes?
Yeah, I love it. I do enjoy being in Canada. Not for too long though. I was there for 6 weeks last year because of the border being closed, and that was a bit much. That was too long for me being away from my kids. If I had to do it again, I would probably do things a little bit differently. But it's done and over with now. But I do go back. I do love going back to Canada.
I
Same
think
thing
you
there.
went up there. You went up there specifically to make sure you drove. Was it Tall Dark Stranger or yeah?
Yeah, yeah, it was Tall Dark Stranger, and probably I should have probably left after the following weekend. But yeah, it was Tall Dark Stranger. The reason, no, not one reason I went, but then it was just one race after the other. For the next weekend, it was Atlanta, and no, I got to race to win the Maple Leaf Trot with Atlanta the following weekend, and then the following weekend was a 2-year-olds, and then there was like get ready for money after that. Like it was just always a reason for me to stay a little bit longer because there was good horses coming one after the other. But in insight, it was a great experience. I became a lot closer with a couple of the guys, James McDonald and Louis Philippe Roy, two great guys that really made my stay a lot nicer. Staying in an hotel for 6 weeks is not a lot of fun, but those guys made sure I was having a good time, and I'll always be thankful for that.
Yeah, that's nice. But tell me, was Tall Dark Stranger the best you've driven? He's a 147 horse. I believe he's retired to stud now.
He could have gone faster. He's just unfortunate a couple of times it just didn't work out. I'm a little bit mad at myself in the cane pace because that day he was so good. And, I got over the half a little fast, 53 and change. And then I backed it down the third quarter to try to get a breeder. And I probably should just let him roll on. And then in the stretch, I never thought I had a chance at 46. And halfway down the stretch, I shut him down. And then the timer popped 47 and 1. And I kind of wish that, if I let him go a little bit the third quarter and then not shutting him down in the stretch, I no doubt in my mind he goes 46 and 2, 46 and 3, something like that. Like not I couldn't improve a second in the last quarter, but I could definitely get a couple extra fifth there. And in the third quarter, I could have got an extra couple fifths there as well. So it's a little bit disappointing, that part. And then also when we went to Lexington, bolt weeks in Lexington, the first week he was like late race, maybe like 8th, 9th, 10th race, something like that. And the first couple races, that's when Cattle Wash won in 46 and 4. And then a couple races later, Warrior Vital went in 47 and 1. And then the storm came through, like the wind picked up and the rain started a little bit. And then I went in like 49 with him later on in the day. And that was a good mile, but it was just like, had he been in the early race, I think he could have had a shot there too. But that's history now. And still 47 and 1 is a great lifetime mark, but there's no doubt I would have loved to put that 46 mark on him had it been an option.
Listen, you've been very generous with your time, and your insights into the American scene will be so keenly listened to by the owners, trainers, and drivers at Portmarnock today and on our website. I have a bit of a surprise for you. I'm helping the IHRA promote this meeting, and as a goodwill gesture, I can formally invite you here to come and drive at the Irish American Weekend in 2022. It'll probably be August. Now, we know that you have a big schedule over there, and we hope it doesn't clash with any big American stakes, but if we can move it to help you, we will. But I'm formally inviting you on behalf of the IHRA to come and be our guest driver at the Irish American Weekend. But we'd like to see those famous dark green and, is it dark green and white?
Yeah, dark green, a little bit of gold, yellow, and in white. Yep, I would love that.
It would be a nice sight to see the dark green with the gold and white trim at the famous Peter's Paddock at Portmarnock. And maybe you'll consider it, and you have 12 months to think about it, so don't be making any excuses.
All right, I would love to. Let's see if we can make it work.
Well, we'll talk about the arrangements offline. For now, Yannick Gingras, thank you so much for helping the IHRA Irish American Weekend.
All right, have a good weekend.
Thank you.